To whoever has her or knows where she is, it's never too late. 41 minutes from 1:47 a.m., when back camera went offline to 2:28 a.m., when Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker stopped communicating. 41 minutes documented by digital devices with precision that human memory cannot match. 41 minutes during which someone operated inside or around the residence of an 84-year-old woman who lived alone. 41 minutes. That was more than enough time. Think about what 41 minutes allows. You can search every room in a house, open every drawer in every dresser, look through every closet, check behind furniture, examine paperwork, go through kitchen cabinets, search bathrooms, look under beds. 41 minutes is not rushed panic. It is methodical operation. Time to be thorough. Time to find what you are looking for. Time to make decisions about what to take and what to leave. And evidence shows someone made very specific decisions during those 41 minutes. They found NY's prescription medications, heart medications, blood pressure medications, pills that an 84-year-old woman needs to survive. They saw them. They knew what they were, but they left them behind, visible, accessible, untouched, while taking Nancy herself. This was not oversight. 41 minutes is too long for that to be accident. This was decision. Deliberate choice to leave medications that Nancy needed while taking Nancy who needed them. That decision tells you everything about what those 41 minutes were for. Not ransom. Not kidnapping for money where keeping victim alive is essential. Not burglary where medications would be irrelevant anyway. Something else. Something where NY's long-term survival was not consideration. Something where 41 minutes of methodical searching led to taking her but leaving what would keep her alive. Before we examine what 41 minutes of documented activity reveals about what actually happened inside Nancy Guthrie's residence, why medications left behind contradicts every theory except the most disturbing one, and what digital evidence combined with physical evidence tells us about those 41 minutes that changed everything. If you follow cases where timeline reconstruction reveals truth, and where evidence left behind tells story as clearly as evidence taken, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Here at Unsolved Archive, we investigate cold cases and unsolved mysteries by analyzing what actually happened based on evidence that cannot lie. Digital timestamps that document duration with precision. Physical evidence that shows what was searched and what was ignored. Medications left behind that reveal intention, because criminals can hide faces with masks. They can avoid fingerprints with gloves. They can disable cameras to prevent surveillance. But they cannot hide what they did during 41 minutes when digital devices were recording timestamps. And physical evidence was being created through their actions. The truth about what happened is written in what was left behind as clearly as in what was taken. Nancy Guthrie is the 84-year-old mother of NBC Today show co-anchor Savannah Guthrie. She disappeared from her Tucson residence in the early morning hours of February 1st. Digital devices documented the timeline with devastating precision. 47 a.m. Back camera at NY's property went offline. Someone disabled it. Not accidentally knocked offline, not technical malfunction. Deliberately disabled to eliminate surveillance coverage of back area of property. 25 minutes passed. 25 minutes during which back camera remained offline, while someone presumably approached property from rear, avoiding front entrance, where doorbell camera would capture their arrival. 25 minutes of preparation, of positioning, of ensuring approach was not documented by the camera they had disabled. Then at 2:12 a.m., the front doorbell camera software detected motion. Someone was there at the front entrance, but before camera could capture more than detection, it went dark, disabled, covered, rendered useless for surveillance. But the motion detection had already registered. Software had already logged that someone was present at that exact timestamp. The attempt to prevent documentation succeeded in preventing video, but failed to prevent timestamp record of presence. 16 more minutes passed. 16 minutes during which both cameras were offline. Both surveillance systems disabled. NY's residents effectively blind to what was occurring. No digital eyes recording. No video being captured. Just timestamp record that cameras had been disabled and motion had been detected. Then at 2:28 a.m., NY's pacemaker stopped communicating. Her cardiac device, which had been transmitting data continuously, went silent. No more signals, no more communication. The medical device that monitors heart function and transmits information about cardiac activity ceased all transmissions at that specific moment, documented by timestamp as precise as the camera failures. 41 minutes total from first camera disability to pacemaker silence. 41 minutes that would become the most analyzed timeline in the investigation. Because those 41 minutes told story about what happened inside NY's residence that no amount of camera disabling could hide. Former Detective Ted Williams analyzed this timeline publicly, and his assessment was devastating in its simplicity and accuracy. Burglars operate on speed. Get in, grab valuables, get out. Every minute inside increases risk. 41 minutes. That's not burglary. That's planning. Think about what Williams was saying. Burglars understand that time inside residence equals risk. Every additional minute is another opportunity for something to go wrong. Neighbor hears sound. Patrol car drives by and notices something. Homeowner wakes up. Witness sees something. Each minute multiplies danger exponentially. So burglars work fast. They identify what has obvious value. They take it. They leave. Time inside is measured in minutes, not half hours. But 41 minutes is not rushed operation. 41 minutes is methodical, careful, thorough. Someone who spent 41 minutes inside or around NY's property was not racing against clock. They were comfortable, they had time. They used it. And what they did during that time reveals what those 41 minutes were actually for. The medications tell the story most clearly. NY's prescription bottles were found by investigators at her residence after she disappeared. Not hidden in back of medicine cabinet. Not tucked away in drawers somewhere difficult to find. They were where an 84-year-old woman who lives alone keeps her daily medications. Bathroom, kitchen, bedroom, wherever she took them each day. Visible, accessible, obvious to anyone spending time searching the residence. Let us be very specific about what medications mean for someone NY's age. These are not optional vitamins or supplements that she might miss for a day or two without consequence. These are prescription medications managing chronic conditions. Heart medications that regulate cardiac function. Blood pressure medications that prevent dangerous spikes. Possibly diabetes medications if she was diabetic. Possibly thyroid medications. Possibly medications for arthritis or other age-related conditions. Missing doses of these medications creates immediate risk. Heart medications missed can lead to arrhythmia or cardiac events. Blood pressure medications missed can cause dangerous pressure changes. The human body, especially at 84 years old, depends on these medications to maintain function. Stop taking them, and consequences begin within hours to days, depending on specific medication. This is not obscure medical knowledge requiring expertise. Anyone who has elderly family members understands this. Anyone who has watched parent or grandparent age knows that prescription medications become an essential part of daily routine, precisely because missing them creates health risks. The orange prescription bottles with clear labels explaining dosage and purpose make this obvious. And someone did spend time searching. 41 minutes. More than enough time to open every cabinet and bathroom. Every drawer and bedroom. Every cupboard and kitchen. More than enough time to see prescription bottles with NY's name on them. To read labels. To understand these were not optional supplements but necessary medications for managing health conditions that exist when you are 84 years old. Picture this physically. You are searching bathroom. You open medicine cabinet. There are orange prescription bottles. Multiple bottles because 84-year-old managing multiple conditions has multiple prescriptions. You see Nancy Guthrie's name on labels. You see medical terminology describing what conditions they treat. You understand implicitly that these are important, that taking person and leaving their critical medications creates specific outcome or kitchen. Many elderly people keep daily medications in kitchen near where they eat breakfast because that is when they take morning doses. Nancy might have had pill organizer on counter 7-day container with compartments for each day or bottles lined up near coffee maker. Wherever they were, 41 minutes of searching found them. The decision to leave these medications while taking Nancy is what makes 41 minutes so devastating, because it was not oversight. It was not mistake made in rushed panic. 41 minutes of methodical operation inside residence means whoever was there saw those medications, understood what they were, made conscious decision not to take them while taking Nancy herself. Think about alternative scenarios where medications would be taken. If this were kidnapping for ransom, medications absolutely must be taken. Ransom negotiations take time, days, sometimes weeks. Keeping victim alive during that time is not optional consideration. It is fundamental requirement. Dead victim cannot be released, cannot be used to prove continued captivity, cannot be exchanged for payment. Taking medications is obvious necessity when planning requires keeping person alive for extended period. If this were kidnapping for other purpose but where person needed to be kept alive, same logic applies. Whatever purpose requires living person rather than deceased person requires medications to maintain that life. Taking 84-year-old without their necessary prescription medications guarantees health deterioration and possible death within days. But medications were left. 41 minutes of searching, finding them, seeing them, understanding them, and leaving them while taking Nancy. This sequence of decisions eliminates scenarios requiring her survival, eliminates ransom, eliminates anything requiring keeping her alive beyond immediate duration. This is the evidence that destroys comfortable theories and forces confrontation with disturbing reality. Those 41 minutes were not about money, not about ransom, not about anything requiring Nancy to survive for days or weeks. They were about something where her survival beyond those 41 minutes was not consideration, where medications were irrelevant because long-term did not exist in plan. Investigators know this. Sheriff Nanos deployed homicide squad on day 1. Why? Because evidence at scene told experienced law enforcement officer that this was not kidnapping for ransom, not missing elderly woman who might have wandered away, something that required homicide investigators with expertise in criminal violence. The medications left behind were part of that evidence picture creating that assessment. The contrast between taking person and leaving their essential medications could not be starker. It reveals intention as clearly as written confession. If goal was keeping Nancy alive, medications would have been taken. They were not taken. Therefore, keeping Nancy alive was not goal. Everything else about those 41 minutes must be interpreted through that brutal fact. Now consider what this means for timeline interpretation. From 1:47, when back camera disabled through 228 when pacemaker went silent, 41 minutes during which medications were left behind, during which whatever those 41 minutes were building toward occurred, during which biological evidence was left at scene, during which evidence was created that investigation is following. The medications being left is evidence that cannot be explained away through alternative narrative. They exist. They were seen during 41-minute search. They were deliberately left. This happened, and it tells us what those 41 minutes were not for. Not ransom, not keeping person alive. Something else. Something where 41 minutes was enough time to accomplish purpose that did not include future survival. Experienced investigators understand what evidence like this means. They read it like text describing what occurred. Medications left equals intention revealed. Timeline duration equals operational capability demonstrated. Pacemaker silence equals endpoint documented. All of it together, creating picture that does not require speculation, because evidence tells story directly. This destroys the ransom theory completely. If someone kidnapped Nancy intending to hold her for ransom, keeping her alive becomes absolutely essential. Dead kidnapping victims cannot be released. They cannot be used to prove continued captivity. They cannot be exchanged for payment. They transform kidnapping into murder with far more serious charges and far more intensive investigation. Every criminal who has ever considered kidnapping for ransom understands this fundamental reality. Keep victim alive or lose any chance of successful outcome. But keeping Nancy alive required her medications, and those medications were left behind, visible, accessible, untouched. During 41 minutes when person had time to search thoroughly, find them, understand what they were, and make decision. The decision was to leave them while taking Nancy. This is not compatible with ransom motivation. This is not compatible with kidnapping where long-term survival matters. The medications also destroy the burglary gone wrong theory. Burglars do not spend 41 minutes in residences. They do not take homeowners with them when surprised. They certainly do not take homeowners while leaving their medications behind, because burglars are focused on valuables, not on managing kidnapping victims. The medication evidence is incompatible with burglary narrative just as completely as it is incompatible with ransom narrative. So what is it compatible with? What motivation makes sense when someone spends 41 minutes operating methodically inside residence, finds victims necessary medications, and deliberately leaves them while taking victim? What scenario explains that pattern of behavior? The answer is the one that hope struggles against, but evidence increasingly supports. Those 41 minutes were not about ransom, not about theft, not about kidnapping for money or burglary gone wrong. They were about something where NY's survival beyond those 41 minutes was not consideration, where medications were irrelevant because long-term was not part of plan. Understanding what can physically be accomplished in 41 minutes helps reconstruct what likely occurred. If you have 41 uninterrupted minutes inside a residence, you can search every room thoroughly, open every drawer, look through every closet, check every cabinet. This level of searching would reveal everything of significance in typical residence. Valuables, if they existed, documents, personal items, and medications all would be found and examined during comprehensive 41-minute search. But let us be specific about what 41 minutes actually allows in physical terms. Time yourself. Set timer for 41 minutes. Now imagine you are searching an 84-year-old woman's residence, not your own home where you know where everything is. Someone else's home where you must search to find things. Start in master bedroom. Open nightstand drawers both sides of bed. Check contents. Look under bed. Open closet. Check shelves. Go through dresser drawers, all of them. Check bathroom connected to master medicine cabinet. Under sink drawers. This thorough search of master bedroom and attached bath takes maybe 8 to 10 minutes if you are being methodical. Move to second bedroom if it exists. Repeat process closet, dresser, any nightstands. Check under bed. Look in any storage areas. Another 5 to 7 minutes for thorough search of guest bedroom that probably has less to search than master kitchen. Next, open every cabinet upper and lower. Check drawers. Look in pantry if there is one. Examine refrigerator if you want. Check under sink. This takes another 8 to 10 minutes to be thorough because kitchens have many storage areas. Living room. Check any cabinets or storage furniture. Look behind cushions. Check any desk or workspace. Go through any drawers. 5 minutes for living room unless there is extensive storage. Bathroom not attached to master if one exists. Medicine cabinet under sink. Any storage 3 to 5 minutes. Basement or garage if applicable. Quick search unless you are looking for something specific there, 5 minutes. Add it up. Master bedroom and bath, 10 minutes. Guest bedroom, 7 minutes. Kitchen, 10 minutes. Living room, 5 minutes. Second bathroom, 5 minutes. Basement or garage, 5 minutes. Total 42 minutes. You have just searched entire residence thoroughly in time span, matching the 41-minute timeline. But this assumes you are searching every space equally. More likely, person operating in NY's residence focused on areas where they expected to find what they wanted. Master bedroom where Nancy slept. Bathroom where medications would be. Kitchen where she spent time. These primary areas could be searched even more thoroughly in 41 minutes because you are not spreading time equally. This means medications in bathroom were definitely seen, not overlooked, not missed during rushed search, seen, examined, understood, and deliberately left. Because 41 minutes allows thorough searching of every space where medications might be kept. Medicine cabinet, bathroom drawers, kitchen counter, bedroom, nightstand. All locations checked, all medications found, all left behind. Move throughout entire property. First floor, second floor if applicable. Basement, garage, 41 minutes allows checking every space multiple times if desired. This is not rushed tour. This is thorough examination with time to return to areas of interest. Think about this differently. 41 minutes is enough time to watch most television episode, enough time for short commute to work, enough time to eat leisurely meal, enough time to have meaningful conversation. In context of searching residence, 41 minutes is eternity. You could search same residence twice in that time and still have minutes remaining. The person who spent 41 minutes at NY's property was not rushing. They were comfortable. They had time. They used it. And what they did with that time tells us what those 41 minutes were for. Locate specific person. If Nancy was asleep in bedroom when someone entered residence, 41 minutes is more than enough to find her. Wake her if necessary and take whatever actions were planned. If she was elsewhere in residence, 41 minutes allows searching until she is located. But Nancy was 84 and lived alone. At 1:47 a.m., she was almost certainly in bed asleep. Finding her required going to master bedroom. Not difficult, not time-consuming. The 41 minutes was not spent looking for Nancy. It was spent doing something else. Searching, making decisions, operating methodically for purpose beyond just locating her. Disable security measures. Cameras were disabled in sequence. Back camera first at 147, front camera later at 212. This sequencing shows deliberate methodology. Disable back approach first, then disable front surveillance, then operate with both eliminated. 41 minutes allows this careful sequential disabling. The camera disabling sequence itself reveals planning. Person knew there were two cameras, knew their locations. Knew to disable back camera before approaching from rear. Knew to disable front camera before being captured clearly. This knowledge indicates either previous surveillance of property or inside information about security setup. Make decisions about what to take and what to leave. This is crucial. 41 minutes means there was time to think, to consider, to choose. Items taken were chosen deliberately. Items left were left deliberately, including medications that were certainly seen and certainly understood during that duration of operation. Consider what else might have been taken or left. NY's purse if she had one, wallet, phone, documents, personal items. Investigation has not disclosed full inventory of what was taken versus left, but we know medications were left. That one fact tells entire story about intention. Everything else is detail. Medications left while person taken reveals purpose. The timeline also reveals operational planning. Back camera disabled first suggests entry or approach from rear. 25 minutes later. Front camera disabled suggests movement to front of property. Then 16 more minutes until pacemaker silence. This sequencing indicates planned progression through property. Not random, not chaotic, methodical movement with specific sequence. Why disable back camera first? Because approach was from rear. Person wanted to eliminate surveillance of their entry point before they could be captured approaching. This shows awareness of camera placement and understanding of how to avoid being recorded. Why wait 25 minutes before disabling front camera? Possibly because person was still in back areas of property during that time. Maybe searching garage or basement accessible from rear. Maybe ensuring back approach was secure before moving to front. Maybe just working methodically without rushing. 25 minutes suggests comfort and lack of urgency. Why does pacemaker go silent 16 minutes after front camera? Because whatever those 41 minutes were building toward reached conclusion at that moment. Whether Nancy was moved beyond Bluetooth range, whether device was damaged, whether something affected cardiac function, that moment at 228 represents endpoint of operational timeline, 41 minutes total. Enough to enter from rear while avoiding back camera. Enough to search residence thoroughly, finding medications and deliberately leaving them. Enough to progress to front of property and disable second camera. Enough to accomplish whatever purpose required being there. Enough to create evidence through biological material left behind. Enough to establish timeline showing this was not rushed crime of opportunity, but planned operation with specific sequence and purpose. The pacemaker silence at 2:28 a.m. marks the end point. Whatever occurred during those 41 minutes culminated at that moment when NY's cardiac device stopped communicating. Whether that silence indicates she was moved beyond Bluetooth range, device was damaged, or something affected cardiac function, it marks the conclusion of the 41-minute timeline. Sheriff Chris Nanos made decision on day 1 to deploy his homicide squad. This was not standard protocol for missing person case. Missing persons typically begin with search and rescue operations. Homicide investigators are specialists deployed when evidence suggests criminal violence. Sheriff saw something on day 1 that indicated need for homicide investigation rather than just missing person search. What evidence would lead to that decision? The 41-minute timeline. the disabled cameras in sequence, the pacemaker going silent, the medications left behind, the evidence at scene that has not been publicly disclosed, all of it together creating picture that experienced law enforcement officer recognized immediately as requiring homicide expertise. Pima County Sheriff's Department released statement Monday officially denying burglary theory. PCSD has never stated that this was a burglary gone wrong. Any reports indicating otherwise are inaccurate. Direct rejection of narrative that had circulated in media. Based on what? Based on evidence that does not fit burglary. 41-minute duration. Medications left behind. Victim taken. None of it consistent with burglary behavior patterns. Law enforcement sources explain to reporters why burglary theory fails. Nighttime residential burglaries are so ridiculously rare. Crazy rare. Commercial building burglaries at night. Residential during the day. We don't have any indication she kept really anything valuable there. And if this was a burglary gone wrong, they don't take the victim with them usually. 3 devastating points. First, timing is wrong for residential burglary. Second, target selection is wrong because Nancy did not keep significant valuables. Third, victim handling is wrong because burglars flee when surprised. They do not abduct homeowners. The evidence pattern does not fit burglary in any aspect, but it does fit planning. 41 minutes of methodical operation. Cameras disabled in sequence showing knowledge of their locations. Operating with apparent comfort and knowledge, taking Nancy while leaving medications, all of it pointing toward planned action with specific purpose that was not theft and was not ransom. The investigation continued accumulating evidence 16 days after NY's disappearance. Unknown male DNA was found inside her residence. DNA that did not match Nancy or anyone in her immediate circle. Someone with no legitimate reason to be in that residence left biological evidence that laboratories are now analyzing. This DNA evidence combined with 41-minute timeline creates powerful case for understanding what occurred. Someone was inside NY's residence for 41 minutes. That someone left biological evidence. That someone disabled cameras. That someone left medications while taking Nancy. That someone operated with knowledge and comfort, suggesting planning rather than improvisation. A glove was found approximately 2 miles from NY's residence. This glove appeared to match gloves worn by masked individual visible in brief doorbell camera footage before camera went dark. DNA testing was conducted on the glove. Preliminary results were received. Quality control verification was pending before entering unknown male profile into CODIS, the FBI's national DNA database. If DNA from glove matches DNA from inside residence, that links 2 locations powerfully. Same person at crime scene and at location 2 mi away. That connection suggests flight path or evidence disposal. Either way, it establishes that glove is not unrelated, but connected to what occurred during those 41 minutes. The FBI doubled reward for information leading to arrest or conviction from $50,000 to $100,000. This increase, 16 days after disappearance, signals confidence that investigation has momentum, that resolution is approaching, that additional public assistance could provide final pieces needed for identification and prosecution. Sheriff's Department confirmed they believe items visible in doorbell footage were purchased at retail locations, where transaction records and surveillance footage could potentially identify buyers. This creates additional investigative avenue toward identification, but it does not change what 41 minutes of timeline reveals about what happened inside NY's residence. The family was officially cleared Monday. The family has been nothing but cooperative and gracious and are victims in this case. To suggest otherwise is not only wrong, it is cruel. Sheriff Chris Nanos made unequivocal statement eliminating all family members from suspicion. Investigation focus narrowed away from family toward whoever actually committed crime. NBC News reported that authorities were leaning away from several people previously scrutinized. Man whose home was searched Friday. Man named Carlos stopped in vehicle. Combined with family clearance, this indicated investigation had narrowed significantly, eliminated numerous possibilities, focused on remaining viable suspects. For Savannah Guthrie, 16 days meant 16 days of hoping while confronting evidence. She posted video addressing whoever had her mother. It's been 2 weeks since our mom was taken. I just wanted to say we still have hope and we still believe. I wanted to say to whoever has her or knows where she is that it's never too late. You're not lost or alone, and it is never too late to do the right thing. The plea came after 2 weeks of evidence accumulating, 2 weeks of 41-minute timeline being analyzed, 2 weeks of medications left behind being understood, 2 weeks of investigation revealing what occurred during those 41 minutes. Hope and evidence existed simultaneously. Hope that Nancy might be found. Evidence suggesting what 41 minutes had accomplished. Watch Savannah's face in that video. See the exhaustion that 16 days of uncertainty creates. The professional composure she maintains every morning on today's show cannot completely hide what this is doing to her. She speaks slowly, carefully choosing each word. Her eyes show strain of 2 weeks, hoping for news that has not come, hoping for breakthrough that would change everything. Living with timeline that documents 41 minutes but does not reveal where those 41 minutes led. She says, "We still have hope, and we still believe," with emphasis that reveals how much effort maintaining that hope requires after 16 days of evidence that suggests terrible outcome. After 41-minute timeline that medications left behind helps interpret. After all the concerning details that family has been briefed on, maintaining hope becomes act of will, rather than natural response to circumstances. The repetition of "it's never too late" twice in brief message reveals what Savannah is clinging to. That even now, even after 16 days, even after 41 minutes documented by digital devices, even after medications deliberately left behind, redemption might still be possible. That whoever spent those 41 minutes at her mother's residence might still choose differently going forward. That ending this with information or resolution remains option, even if 41 minutes cannot be undone. But the reality Savannah must confront his daughter lives in tension with hope she expresses publicly. She knows about 41 minutes. She knows about medications. She knows what homicide squad deployment on day 1 signals. She knows what experienced law enforcement has concluded about evidence pattern. The family has been briefed. They understand what timeline shows. They understand what decisions made during those 41 minutes reveal about intention. Think about what it means to be Savannah Guthrie during these 16 days. National television personality, whose face is known to millions, whose mother's disappearance is major news story, who must appear on Today's Show every morning, maintaining some version of professional composure while privately living through devastation, who must read headlines about her mother, who must see speculation and analysis, who must function publicly while grieving privately. Every morning she wakes up. Maybe there is a moment before full consciousness when things feel normal. Then reality crashes back. Mom is missing. 16 days now. 41 minutes that changed everything. Evidence that suggests terrible things. Investigation that continues but has not brought her home. That transition from sleep to waking reality must be devastating every single day. Then she must prepare for work, must do hair and makeup, must review show notes, must prepare to appear on television in front of millions, must maintain composure, must be professional, must function. While her mother has been missing for 16 days, while 41-minute timeline haunts her understanding of what might have occurred, while hoping competes with evidence in her mind during show, maybe there are moments when she can focus on work, on interviews, on segments, on professional responsibilities, but quiet moments must bring everything back. Commercial breaks, moments between segments, times when mind is not occupied with immediate task, then 41 minutes returns, then medications left behind returns, then 2 weeks of uncertainty returns. After show, no refuge in distraction of work, just reality of being daughter whose mother is missing, of waiting for call from investigators with news, of hoping news will be good while fearing it will confirm what evidence suggests, of wanting answers while dreading what answers might reveal. This is psychological torture that does not end with workday, continues every waking moment, and probably invades sleep through nightmares. The family had faced cruel online speculation suggesting they might be involved. Sheriff's statement Monday provided official clearance. The family has been nothing but cooperative and gracious, and are victims in this case. To suggest otherwise is not only wrong, it is cruel. This should have ended speculation, But online conspiracy theorists do not necessarily accept official statements. Some prefer complicated false narratives to simple truth. So Savannah had to endure not just uncertainty about her mother, but accusations about her own potential involvement. Had to see theories suggesting family knowledge or participation. Had to read comments questioning their cooperation or sincerity. All while actually being cooperative, actually being devastated, actually being victim of terrible crime against family member they love. The additional burden of false accusation while already suffering is, as Sheriff said, cruel. But it is also a predictable pattern in high-profile cases. Whenever family member goes missing and family has any degree of public visibility, conspiracy theories emerge. People who think they are amateur detectives examining family behavior for signs of guilt. People who prefer exciting conspiracy to boring truth that family is simply grieving and cooperating with investigation. This added psychological torture to already unbearable situation. Not enough to be living with 41-minute timeline and medications left behind. Not enough to be hoping while confronting concerning evidence. Must also defend against false accusations from strangers who have no evidence but plenty of theories. Must endure additional scrutiny and judgment while privately devastated. The official clearance helped. Having Sheriff Nano state unequivocally that family is not involved, that they are victims, that suggestions otherwise are cruel, provided some relief, but damage from 2 weeks of speculation cannot be completely undone. The accusations exist in internet archives. The conspiracy theories remain despite official rejection, and some people will continue believing what they want to believe regardless of evidence or official statements. Savannah's plea, "It's never too late to do the right thing," was directed at whoever has her mother or knows what happened, but it also carries weight of everything she has endured over 16 days. The hope maintained despite evidence, the professional functioning despite private devastation, the public composure despite internal anguish, all of it asking whoever is responsible to end this to provide information to choose path that allows some resolution, even if 41 minutes cannot be undone. The phrase "you're not lost or alone" suggests Savannah is trying to reach human being behind terrible actions, trying to appeal to capacity for change, trying to offer path forward that does not require accepting everything that has occurred, but allows choosing better outcome from this point. This is sophisticated emotional strategy, attempting to create opening for person to do right thing, even after doing terrible things during those 41 minutes. But 16 days of silence suggests whoever was there during 41 minutes is either not seeing these appeals or is seeing them and choosing not to respond. Either they do not have access to media coverage, or they have access and are not moved by appeals, or they cannot respond because circumstances prevent it. None of these possibilities offers comfort to family hoping for miracle of information or resolution. President Trump had addressed case elevating it to federal attention, with statement that those responsible would face most severe consequences if Nancy were found deceased. This federal commitment should signal to whoever spent those 41 minutes at NY's residence that consequences are serious and getting more serious as investigation progresses. That cooperation now might be better choice than being identified and prosecuted later with full weight of federal justice system. But so far, silence. 16 days of it. 16 days during which investigation has progressed, evidence has accumulated, DNA has been analyzed, purchases have been traced, surveillance has been reviewed, but whoever spent those 41 minutes has not come forward, has not provided information, has not responded to pleas or warnings or federal attention. Just silence while investigation closes in. President Trump addressed the case, stating that if Nancy were found deceased, those responsible would face the most severe federal consequences. Asked if that meant death penalty, Trump confirmed the most. Yeah, that's true. Federal attention elevated case and signaled protocol commitment. The 41 minutes remained central to understanding what occurred. Not speculation, not theory. Timeline documented by digital devices. Cameras disabled at specific times. Pacemakers silent at specific moment. 41 minutes during which evidence was created through actions taken and decisions made. Medications left behind during those 41 minutes told one story. DNA left inside residents told another. Cameras disabled in sequence told third. Pacemaker silence told fourth. All of these stories converged on same conclusion. 41 minutes was enough. Enough to search residents thoroughly. Enough to find medications and make decision to leave them. Enough to take Nancy. Enough to create evidence trail that investigation was following toward identification. The investigation was not guessing about what 41 minutes allowed. They were reconstructing it through evidence. Digital timeline provided framework. Physical evidence provided details. Medications provided insight into decisions. DNA provided biological proof of presence, all working together to reveal what actually happened inside residents during those documented 41 minutes. Former Detective Ted Williams's statement that 41 minutes indicated planning rather than burglary was based on understanding criminal behavior. Professionals in law enforcement recognize patterns. They understand how different crimes unfold. They know what durations indicate. Williams looked at 41 minutes and immediately understood this was not consistent with burglary or opportunistic crime. This was planned operation by someone who had time and used it deliberately. The planning evident in 41-minute timeline contradicted some evidence while supporting other evidence. It contradicted claim that this was random burglary. It contradicted theory that medications were overlooked accidentally, but it supported evidence of camera disabling sequence. It supported DNA being left at scene. It supported decisions being made about what to take and what to leave. This mixed pattern created investigative picture of someone who planned certain aspects carefully while making errors in others. Planned well enough to have 41 minutes. Made errors that left DNA. Planned well enough to disable cameras. Made decision to leave medications that reveals intention. Not professional criminal who never makes mistakes. Person who planned enough to execute 41-minute operation, but made errors that created evidence. Those errors are what investigation was exploiting. DNA analysis proceeding toward database entry and potential match. Retail purchase tracking following items back to buyer. Surveillance footage being reviewed. Transaction records being searched. All of it building from evidence created during or in preparation for those 41 minutes. The truth about what happened to Nancy Guthrie was written in that 41-minute timeline, as clearly as if someone had documented it directly. The duration told that this was planned. The camera disabling told that perpetrator knew about security systems. The medications told that survival was not consideration. The pacemaker silence told that 41 minutes culminated in specific moment. The DNA told that someone was there who should not have been. Day 17 of investigation. 17 days since that 41-minute timeline occurred. 17 days of analyzing what those minutes revealed. 17 days of understanding that 41 minutes was not rushed panic, but methodical operation with specific purpose. 17 days of evidence accumulating around what actually happened inside NY's residence during documented period when cameras were disabled and pacemaker fell silent. 41 minutes was enough. Enough to search every room. Enough to find every medication. Enough to make decisions about taking Nancy while leaving what would keep her alive. Enough to create evidence through biological material left behind. Enough to establish timeline that would become foundation of understanding what occurred. The investigation continued following evidence trail created during and around those 41 minutes. DNA being analyzed, purchases being traced, surveillance being reviewed, timeline being reconstructed minute by minute. All working toward identifying who was there during those 41 minutes and what they did. But even without final identification, 41 minutes had already told its story. Timeline documented by digital devices cannot lie. Cameras disabled at specific times. Pacemaker silent at specific moment. Medications found untouched at scene. All of this factual. All of it documented. All of it pointing toward same conclusion about what those 41 minutes accomplished and what they revealed about intention. Think about everything those 41 minutes established. They established this was planned operation, not opportunistic crime. Burglars do not spend 41 minutes in residences. They grab and run. 41 minutes indicates comfort, knowledge, planning. Someone who knew they could operate that long without significant risk of interruption. They established perpetrator had knowledge of property. Cameras disabled in sequence showing awareness of security setup. Movement from back to front suggested understanding of layout. 41-minute duration suggested confidence in being able to operate without interruption. This knowledge came from somewhere. Previous surveillance, inside information, connection to Nancy or neighborhood. However it was acquired, it enabled 41 minutes of methodical operation. They established that keeping Nancy alive was not priority. Medications left behind proved this definitively. No ambiguity, no room for alternative interpretation. If survival mattered, medications would have been taken. They were not. Therefore, survival did not matter beyond immediate duration of operation. They established that significant effort went into avoiding identification during crime. Cameras disabled. Presumably, mask and gloves worn based on brief footage captured. Operation at night in darkness. All precautions suggesting perpetrator understood evidence and wanted to avoid being identified. Yet biological evidence was still left. DNA that could identify perpetrator, regardless of precautions during crime scene. They established timeline that homicide investigators could work with 147 to 228. Specific timestamps documented by devices that record with precision. This allows reconstruction of sequence, allows understanding of operational methodology, allows correlation with other evidence from that time period. Digital timeline is gift to investigators because it eliminates ambiguity about duration and sequence. They established that Nancy was at residence during those 41 minutes. Her pacemaker was communicating until it fell silent. She was there. She was present. Whatever occurred during those 41 minutes occurred while she was at residence, not somewhere else. This focuses investigation on what happened at that specific location during that specific time, rather than searching broadly. 41 minutes told all of this without anyone having to testify, without anyone having to provide statements that could be questioned or challenged. Digital devices recorded it. Physical evidence supported it. Medications left behind confirmed it. The truth about what those 41 minutes accomplished and revealed exists independent of any narrative someone might want to tell. Evidence does not care about stories. It tells its own truth. And that truth is devastating for whoever spent those 41 minutes at NY's residence, because it establishes facts that cannot be explained away, cannot be justified through alternative narrative, cannot be minimized through claims of accident or mistake or misunderstanding. 41 minutes of methodical operation with medications deliberately left behind tells specific story about intention and purpose. When perpetrator is eventually identified through DNA match, through purchase tracing, through surveillance identification, through whatever investigative path leads there, they will face evidence chain they cannot break. Timeline documented by digital devices, medications left at scene, biological evidence at crime scene, pacemaker silence at specific moment, all of it building case that 41 minutes reveals and no denial can overcome. The investigation knows this. They understand what 41 minutes establishes. They understand what evidence shows. They are working methodically toward identification, knowing that once they connect person to those 41 minutes through DNA or purchases or surveillance, the timeline itself becomes devastating evidence of what occurred and what it meant. For NY's family, 41 minutes represents something different. It represents last documented period when they know she was at residence when her pacemaker was still communicating before silence fell. Those 41 minutes are last piece of timeline they can attach to her being present and alive based on digital evidence. After 228, when pacemaker fell silent, timeline becomes uncertain, but before that 41 minutes documents presence in operation. This makes 41 minutes both informative and painful. It tells what occurred. It establishes facts. It reveals intention. But it also marks transition from documented presence to uncertain aftermath. From knowing she was there to not knowing where or how. From digital evidence to speculation. 41 minutes is anchor point of knowledge in ocean of uncertainty. The medications left behind during those 41 minutes might be most painful detail for family, because it reveals so clearly what those 41 minutes were not for. Not for ransom where survival matters. Not for kidnapping where keeping person alive is essential. For something else. Something where her survival beyond those 41 minutes was not consideration. This is truth that hope struggles against, but evidence establishes. Savannah's plea that it's never too late hits differently when you understand 41 minutes, because those 41 minutes cannot be undone. Cameras disabled cannot be re-enabled. Medications left behind cannot be taken now. Pacemaker silence cannot be reversed. 41 minutes happened. Evidence was created. Truth was established. What can still change is what comes after. Whether person responsible provides information, whether they choose cooperation over continued silence, whether they allow some resolution. Even though 41 minutes cannot be changed, the FBI's reward doubled to $100,000 targets this choice, offering financial incentive for information that could complete picture. 41 minutes established what happened at residence. DNA and purchase tracking will likely establish who was responsible, but information about what came after could provide closure. That evidence alone cannot. Where is Nancy now? What was purpose behind those 41 minutes? These questions remain even as timeline and evidence reveal what occurred during documented period. Sheriff's statement that family is cleared and that speculation about their involvement is cruel serves important purpose. It focuses attention away from victims and toward actual investigation. 41 minutes happened to Nancy Guthrie. Her family was not present, were not responsible, are suffering. Official clearance allows investigation and public attention to focus where it should. On identifying who spent those 41 minutes at residence, on understanding what evidence reveals about intention, on following DNA and purchase trails toward identification, 16 days of investigation, 16 days of analyzing 41 minutes, 16 days of understanding what timeline reveals and what medications left behind, tell about purpose, 16 days of DNA analysis, purchase tracing, surveillance review, all building toward identification that 41 minutes of careful planning could not prevent, because evidence was created that cannot be hidden. The truth about Nancy Guthrie and what happened during those 41 minutes exists in evidence that was documented and collected, digital timeline that cannot be erased, medications that were found where they were left, biological evidence that was deposited at scene, all of it pointing toward conclusion that professional investigators read clearly, even when hope wants different answer. 41 minutes was enough time. That is what evidence shows. Not speculation, not theory, evidence. Enough time to accomplish whatever those 41 minutes were for. Enough time to search residents thoroughly. Enough time to find medications and make decision to leave them. Enough time to create biological evidence that DNA analysis will likely trace to identity. Enough time to disable cameras in sequence showing planning. Enough time to operate methodically from 147 when back camera failed to 228, when pacemaker fell silent. Enough time. Those two words summarize what 17 days of investigation has established about 41 minutes. It was enough for whatever terrible purpose brought someone to Nancy Guthrie's residence at 1:47 a.m. on February 1st. 41 minutes was sufficient duration to accomplish it. Evidence proves this. Timeline documents it. Medications left behind reveal it. And investigation continues following that evidence toward identification and truth that 41 minutes has already partially